Hello again, Malika here. This video is dedicated to talking about a testimonial from the author of The Wisdom of Your Dreams by Jeremy Taylor. So he has a chapter dedicated in this book, and just to back up a moment, this book is going to be the foundation of the Healing Circle work related to uncovering and healing our unconscious biases and racist, sexist, and classist beliefs. Jumping right in, he has a chapter called Dreams, Nonviolence, and Social Change. And his first formal group work he details in this chapter was in 1969. And long story short, there were basically, he was doing some work at a faith-based organization down in California. And it was right after the Watts riots. And they kept him, he was kind of like the den mother, as he describes it. They kept him in the office, and everybody else in the office would go out and do work in the community. And everybody else in the community, or everybody else in the office, was African American. And the neighborhood and the community, surrounding community, was also African American. And Jeremy, the author, is a white guy. So finally, at one point, he was feeling underutilized and, talked to a pastor, and he's like, put me in, coach. I feel like there's so much more I could contribute to this process and to, serving the community. And, this pastor had a very candid and honest conversation with him about other well-intentioned white people who had been there before him, and with their unconscious prejudice and bias, they had managed to really get under the skin and offend the community members. And so they basically left disheartened because they thought they were the good guys and wanted to fight racism, and bumped up against their own unconscious bias. So the pastor told him, if you really want to make some progress and contribute, go find those white people and work with them. And so he did. And there was they ended up doing dream work, and he details it. I'm just going to do an overview, but some of the highlights he discusses in here is psychological dynamic of repression and projection is at the root of racism, and indeed of all forms of collective prejudice and oppression. So going back to this idea of racism, sexism, classism, we all have repressed prejudice, and that's why we can access it with our dreams. And he talked about the power of unearthing, these unconscious biases and fears in our dreams, and sharing them in a space, a safe space, allowed them to heal. And these same people who had left disillusioned that he worked with in the dream work began to get recharged again after facing their own unconscious gook and material, repressed beliefs and things. And they went back into those same communities. And he said that they received stellar, unsolicited feedback from community members of how great these people were. The same people they had run out several months before, or years, I don't know how much time had passed, but that now what was happening is because those people had done their own work, they were no longer unconsciously projecting their own unresolved material onto masses of people, and they could deal with each person as an individual. So it was such a powerful and moving story, and I remember feeling when I read it wow, that's it. This is a way that if everyone just takes responsibility for their own part in healing their own stuff, that we can really make some dynamic, individual, accessible changes and really transformation. But it comes from, doing our own work, which can be uncomfortable and scary for sure. But I think that it's powerful that we be honest about our biases, because it's if you deny ever having them, then there's nothing that we can do. And he even mentioned these liberals, and he considered himself a liberal, and he still had to unpack some of his unconscious prejudice. Let's see, and this isn't just catered to white people. We all have them, whether it's sexism or classism. And you can be a sexist even if you're a woman and you think that as women, we're not as good of leaders as men, or, because we all can internalize some of these biases. So, you know, this is really powerful material and an opportunity to heal no matter what side of the spectrum that you're on. A container, an instrument, a tool that helps people increase self-acceptance. And in this fashion, repressions are released, projections withdrawn, and even the most fundamental ingrained and habitual patterns of self-deception and destructive behavior are transformed. Like I said, he did his first dream circle back in 1969. So I just wanted to offer this to give context of the power that's available in healing, that's available with accessing our unconscious mind through our sleeping dream work. Because, you know, we cannot, and Einstein has this quote that, you know, we cannot solve a problem at the same consciousness that the problem was created. And so by just exploring our own conscious and intellectual thoughts, which we've been doing now for many, many decades, we cannot, you know, unearth and get to the transformation that so many of us may be feeling is needed at this time by trying to answer it or solve it at that same level of consciousness. And I hope that this clarifies why we're exploring dream work, why are we doing it in community, and why it can be such a powerful tool of transformation in all of our lives if we choose to use it in that way. Many blessings. Thank you so much for hanging with me. Until the next time, I'll see you later. Bye.